Hello there. This is a tutorial for setting up a wireless router in a web interface. This will apply to many other routers. I am currently using a Netgear router, so it would work best with Netgear routers, but other routers are pretty similar. So some things might be changed, some names might be different, but the general idea will be the same. First of all, we're going to need our router's IP address. There are multiple ways to find this. The router itself will generally have its IP address printed somewhere on the router, usually on the back or underneath, sometimes on the side. Another way to do it is if you already have your router set up and it's connected to your computer and you got internet, or even if you don't have internet, you can go to command prompt and ipconfig, which we will be doing. So I'm in Windows 8.1, so all I have to do is go to the little Metro screen, start typing in CMD. That will prompt up command prompt. Once we are in command prompt, you will go type in ipconfig. That's ipconfig. Hit enter. The IPv4 address, or if you do have a IPv6 address, those are your computer's IP addresses. If you have an IPv6 router, your router will have an IPv6 address as well, which you will use that instead. For this purpose though, we are using an IPv4 router because my ISP only supports IPv4. Our default gateway is our router, and the address is 192.168.1.1. For some routers, it may be different. I had a Belkin router that was 192.168.2.1. There's routers, I think even some Netgears that are 192.168.0.1, and so forth. So with this information, let's go to our router. So 192 in the address bar, 168, whoops, 1, 1. Our router should now ask us to log in. Generally, the router will have it printed somewhere, either on the back side or underneath it, what the default username and password is. If not, it might be in your manual. If not, it will generally be on the website or a website. For Netgear routers, it's normally admin password. Other routers may be just blank. Username will be blank, password will be blank. Sometimes it's admin, and sometimes it's just admin with the password blank. So, log into your router. This is the router's interface. I have disconnected my internet. I have changed my wireless settings and my password. So let's go through the basic setups here. This is our home. Most routers will have a home interface. If not, it will have these other tabs normally. In our internet tab, no Ethernet cable is plugged in, blah blah blah. We won't worry about that. Okay, now here's the good stuff. This is for our wireless. Now before we get started, everything in this basic tab can be set up in the advanced tab, but for this video we will only be dealing with the basic tab. Region selection. A lot of routers won't have this option, some may. If yours does, fantastic. Just select the region that you are in. I believe mine is region locked to North America. I don't know if I can bring this router overseas and do it in another country. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But the important stuff here is your wireless network. I have two wireless networks on my router. It's able to support 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Now, as you can see here, 2.4 gigahertz works with B, G, and N. What those letters signify are basically, how can I put this? It is the generation of wireless networking. Kind of like how cell phones have 2G, 3G, 4G, 4G LTE. This is kind of similar to that, B is slower than G, G is slower than N. And you now have the newer AC type. Now, what wireless isolation does is it prevents other computers from seeing each other. So if I go to show hide help, let's see here. If checked, the wireless client under this SSID can only access the internet and can't access other wireless clients, even under the same SSID. Ethernet clients or this device. Other clients can't access the wireless client either. So this basically means that if you have that enabled, other people will not be able to see your devices on there. Like if I go under here, my only device is going to be my computer at the moment, but if I had other devices, computers, phones, tablets connected to my wireless, it would show up under my networking if I go to Windows, Network Share Center. Right now, my computer is the only one, so there's no point in showing that. But if I have this enabled, no one will see me, and I will not be able to see anybody else. Now, this can be a big problem if you share files with other devices, if you share other things, if you stream, if you share a printer, perhaps. It makes it harder. So even though this is a better security option, it will limit what you can do. Enable SSID broadcast. What that means is whenever someone tries to connect to your network or to a network, you usually will see a network name. Mine is called FlatRock 2.4 gigahertz. If I disable that, no one will be able to see that. And then the only way to connect to it would be to manually type it in when you're searching for a network. This is really good security measure as no one can connect to your network unless they know your SSID directly. So that is a really good security measure to do. However, it does make it harder for people to connect to your network. If you have people come over and you want them to connect, you will have to type in for them your SSID. And especially if it's something kind of like what I have right here, where it has a capital G and lower HZ, it might make it a little bit harder to connect them because typos and all that. Now, channel. Channel is a small range of frequency within 2.4 gigahertz. Generally, having it on auto is a good thing to do. Routers have gotten smart now where they should pick a channel where it will have less interference and there's less activity in. If, say, we were on channel 11 on here and there was a lot of activity, we may get some interference. However, if channel 1 had nothing on it, we would want to go to channel 1. A way to check that is that there are some programs that you can download which will analyze the area and show you what channels are active, what channels aren't active, just how busy they are. But if you keep it on auto, it should automatically adjust for it. Routers are pretty good for that nowadays. For the mode, generally you will want the highest mode unless you have older devices that are having problems connecting. They may not support the speeds, then you will want to try lower speeds. Security, you always want a password on your internet. If you don't have a password, anybody can access your network and they can potentially access your router and change your settings and even lock you out your own internet. Another thing is that you don't want people just doing whatever you want or whatever they want to do on your internet. They could go all sorts of websites that could get you in trouble. For these security options, none is obviously the worst one to have. WEP, that is okay, but it's pretty hackable, especially if someone has a software that do it. If you're in a big city, that might be more of a problem. If you're in a smaller town, it might not be so much of a problem. I know some devices only will work on WEP, and such as the old Nintendo DS's, they only will accept WEP. You cannot do the WPA, WPA2 encryptions, otherwise it just doesn't work. So that might be a reason why they do WEP. Your best bet is to go with WPA2, and it's this AES. encryption. That is a pretty secure encryption, and you'll be pretty much set with that. And if you do disable your SSID broadcast, it'll be pretty hard for somebody to even find your network, and even harder for them to guess what the password is. Passphrases, well, that's pretty simple. That's your password. Right now I have it set just a password with some numbers and symbols and stuff. Same thing with this 5 gigahertz. This is 5 gigahertz A and N. A is an older wireless standard. It's not used much anymore, but it does support 5 gigahertz. N is the newer one, besides AC being the newest. Same thing, wireless isolation, enable SSID. Same thing with the password encryptions. Next, we're going to attach devices. Attached devices tell you what devices are connected to your network. Mine is under wired, that's my computer. If I had any wireless devices connected, it would display them on here. This is good to figure out if you have someone on your network that you do not want them to be on your network. If you do find that, I suggest you change your password and all that, possibly hide your SSID and change your SSID, all that good stuff. Parental controls, there are better options for them in the advanced tab, but they basically allow you to block sites. They allow certain devices to only be on certain parts of the day, stuff like that. Ready share, a lot of routers won't have this. Your router will probably have it if it has a USB in the back, unless if the USB is a type of service port, kind of like my old TV has. My old TV has a USB port on it, but it can only be used for service applications. I can't put a USB drive on it, but basically this allows you to throw on a USB drive, like flash drive or hard drive, and some routers do support putting printers on the router directly. Guest network is good if you don't trust your family or friends. Enable it, and people will basically have a little bit of a limited access. When you enable your guest network, you definitely want to enable the wireless isolation, so that way they can't see your other devices. You could probably just enable the SSID, but if you wanted to disable that, that'd probably be even better, and then you can just tell people what your SSID is, as long as you make it simple. Allow guests to access my local network. You don't want to select that, because then they will be able to access your other network. That'll be your other 2.4 and 5 gigahertz networks. This is a separate guest network, so you want to keep those separately. Same thing, you want to have a password for this. I suggest the WPA2 with the AES. This is the same thing, but this is 5 gigahertz. And that's all we have on the basic tab for today. In another day I'll set up a video for the advanced tab, which goes through many more options. Many more options. It also has a default setup wizard, which makes setting up internet rather easy, and most routers will have that option as well. Well, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.